Hey everybody, how you doing? I hope you can hear me. If you can't hear me, let me know. I got, I'm wired up. Got a wireless mic on here, little thing. No headphones today, so I can move around and talk. And let's see, I got a audience of 2.5. Rick, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for coming in. I didn't know if anybody'd be around this afternoon to watch this thing, but I thought it'd be a good time to do it because I don't know how long it's going to take, and I figure people might come and people might go. Maybe somebody will join me, keep me a little company in the panel, but we'll see what happens. And I'm sorry, Jody, I didn't wait for you to come back, but I got a perfect record of starting on time. I don't want to screw that up, but we're not going to do a hell of a lot till you get back. So. We'll see what happens. So far it's just us guys. That's it. And I got to tell you, I've had this this box there behind me. If you can see it on the table there, I've had that box for almost a week now, and I haven't cut it open yet. It's been hard. It's like Christmas. It's like looking at the presents under the tree, and not touching them. You know what I mean? But what I did, because this is going to be quite a project, and if I do it all on live streams, by the time I'm all done, it's probably going to be a series of 4 or 5, maybe more live streams when you figure building the airplane, installing all the gear in it, configuring the flight control system, the INAV on the flight controller board, installing all the different cameras and the lights and the antennas and everything else that this thing is going to have. So I'm going to kind of break it up into easily digested segments that might last an hour, might last 3 or 4 hours, depending on how much we get done and whether people are actually interested. And then I'm going to create a playlist for the whole FPV fixed wing stuff. So that you know, all the build stuff and all the whatever flight footage and everything will be in one playlist on my channel. So I'm trying to get organized, and I know it seems sometimes I wonder. Oh, okay, Rick. So yeah, I didn't know how many people. I didn't really know how many people would be interested in this fixed wing. I know there's guys on YouTube. And I want to shout out to their channels, and after I'm done, I'm going to fill up the description in these live streams, in the videos, full of information about where I bought this stuff, some links for that, and shout outs to some of the YouTube channels, the guys that have huge viewer numbers. They, you know, some of these guys have 100,000 plus viewers that do the fixed wing stuff, and you know, an RC in general is just so much bigger than just the drone community that maybe it'll help me grow my channel a little bit. But the main reason I'm doing it is because I'm an old fixed wing guy. I just love this stuff, and I just need diversity and need to be doing new things. Otherwise, I get bored too. And like I said last night on my live stream, God, if I get bored producing the same videos over and over again, God knows why anybody'd want to watch the same thing. So we're going to try to branch out a little bit, try to keep it interesting, primarily for me, but I really enjoy sharing it with everybody. We got 4 viewers now, so I don't know who the 4th person is. Let yourself be known if you'd like. Come into the chat, and if Rick, if you want to jump on the panel and give me somebody to have some conversation with, I think I have you on my list of mailing links. But if I don't, in fact, why don't I just do this, because this is not going to be a big audience, I don't think. Let me go ahead and take this link here and just throw it down in the chat, and that way anybody that wants to join in, love to have you. So anyway, what I did was I still have my green screen back there, but it's set pretty far back from me. So what I did was I put this table here in front of the green screen, so I still have my fancy green screen effects behind it. And I've gone ahead and I put a camera over the top of the table, so I'll be able to show you guys a straight down shot of that table, where I'm gonna, it's big enough for you to unbox the airplane and things like that, so you'll be able to see that. And then I still have the overhead camera on my little workbench on the side here, where I build the drones, and so I can switch back and forth to that. And then I created this shot. I don't know how useful it's going to be, but it basically is all 3 different views at the same time, and a picture of the airplane or whatever down there at the bottom. So I might use that, and you guys can tell me if which one you like better, which one you can see. Silver Top Flyer, hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming in, man. Yeah, this might just be a meeting, the old guys model airplane club here this afternoon, so we'll see. I see that in looking at the feed there, I've got a nice little reflective spot, which makes me look like I have a hole in my head, which is kind of cool. I don't know how that happened. What I might try to do before we go any further is see if I can adjust my green screen to get rid of that glare on my head, because it makes me look like I have a hole in my head. How cool is that? So let's see. Let's go and bear with me a second, guys, and then we'll get started. Let me go into filters. All kinds of weird things are going to happen right now. Well, let's see if I can get rid of that spot on my head. No, that makes it worse. And how about this one here? That takes the glare out of it, but also ruins me. Well, that's terrible to have a hole in my head like that. And how about this one here? No, that doesn't do it. So that's not an option. Let me try this over here. That just dims out the color, gives me a sunburn. So that's not good. And maybe this one will do it. Well, no. Well, I guess I'm going to have a hole in my head, guys. So now I think I've probably completely screwed up my picture. But I think that's just going to have to do, and I'll have a hole in my head. Maybe I should get a hat. I'll put a hat on. Maybe that'll work. I have a hat here. I don't want you guys to have to look at a hole in my head, so I'll put a hat on. There, no hole in the head. Okay, hey, that makes me look more handsome. Let's see in the chat who's here. Glad you're not talking about the Mavic. What's a Mavic Mini? I haven't heard about that. I'm getting tired of hearing it. But I will tell you this, that Jason guy from the flight instructor that was on Ken Herron's show last night really clarified the regulations and pointed out the fact that it doesn't matter if it's sub 250 grams. It doesn't make any difference at all. You still have to obey all the rules. The only thing is you don't have to register it, but that's it. Everything else and all the other rules about the parameters of where you can fly, how you can fly, how high you can fly, not flying over people, all that other stuff. In those regulations, there's no, they all basically just say that if the drone is under 55 pounds, but it doesn't say and over 250. So the only thing that 250 gram thing does is saves you $5 from having to register it. If you're a recreational flyer and you already have a drone registered, you can use the same registration for all your drones. So DJAS announced it, and $600. So I think it's $500 there. It was $399 for the drone and $499 for the Flymore system. And it looks like a nice little drone. And that guy over there in Europe went ahead and did the crash tests on it and managed to fly at full speed in sport mode into a tree and break the gimbal. But other than that, it survived all his pouring water on it and trying to set it on fire and doing all the other stupid things that he does. Any rate, I'm not going to be able to, when I'm over there at the other side, they're unboxing things. I'm not going to be able to be monitoring the chat. I'll glance at it every once in a while. And if you do come into the panel, give me a second to notice that you're in there. Don't feel like I'm ignoring you. Yeah, I agree with you, Silvertop. I think it's I think I'd rather have a Skydio 2. It's more money, but I think that it does things, and based on some of the videos that these guys have been posting with these things, it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I'd rather spend a little extra money and actually get something. But if I was a kid and somebody bought it for me for Christmas, I'd be thrilled. I mean, it looks like it flies pretty good. It certainly seems to do much better than most of the other low-cost drones out there. So we'll see. Anyway, enough about the Mavic Mini for today. So what I got here is this box in the back, which actually has the airplane, and then over here, all the other stuff that's actually going to go in the airplane, and I'm going to just go through that stuff one by one and take a look at what these things and what these pieces look like. So, without further ado, I think I'll grab my trusty scalpel here and go back here and open this box. And there's 4 of us here, so that's it. Be a nice small little group. And I think that I can do it from here. You can see it on this camera, and then when I get the box open, I'll go to the camera up on top. Now, it's got all kinds of tape, and I don't know. So I think the best place to start would just be to start cutting this tape here. It's around the edges and see which way this box opens up. It's quite a substantial box. Well, it looks like we go down here. Oh, wow, this is going to be easier than I thought. This top thing just opens up. All right. I thought it was going to be a real project to open it. Okay. Oh, look at this. That's a surprise. They either sent me the wrong airplane or they threw a little they threw a little foam glider in here. Look at this. Well, that's cool. I had no idea that was in there. None of the other videos that I've seen so far actually showed this. But this thing's got orange. It's all orange and yellow, and yeah, I'm surprised that. Look at this. Is that cool? My chroma key is going to play havoc with it, but because of the colors, the yellows are kind of like green, so it looks like you see through it. But it's a little, I'll be darned, it's just a little foam glider, and I guess you just slide this in here. This is it, guys. This is going to be the build video. We're going to build this little foam glider here today. Tight. Wow. This foam that they build these airplanes out of is really such amazing stuff. And then it's got a stab. And this stuff fits together like a glove, man. Look at this. This is cool. Wow, that's cool. I wonder where it balances. If you check the CG of it here and see. Well, it seems to balance right about where it should. Here we go. It hit the wall. That's cool, though. I mean, that is really cool. I had no idea that was in there. Now, let's hope that in that big box there's actually the airplane that I paid for, and not just this little foamy glider thing. Stealth glider, yeah. Who else? Anybody else come in here? Well, we got 5 people watching, so somebody's out there. Well, welcome, guys, whoever's out there. All right. You get, let me switch the view over to the looking down shot here, and you get this one page of instructions, and that's it. So obviously this is not real complicated, and I think the landing gear and the little light kit and all that stuff comes with its own set of instructions. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start. It's packed really well. I mean, it's this is can you guys see this? This is the canopy, and you do have to cut all these things out, and the canopy holds on with magnets, and there's little indents where you glue the magnets in. But because I'm doing this FPV, I probably won't need that. And to cut out these things, a long time ago I got this special pair of scissors which is designed for cutting these plastic canopies. It's curved. It's got a curved hook on it to let you go around the corners, and it's got a slight little serration in it, which really makes it cut this plastic good. So I dug those things out, and they're really handy, and I'm glad I have them, because there's a lot of little plastic pieces in here that you have to cut out. So we have that, and they give you the obligatory stickers and decals, and these white pieces here go underneath the wings, and they cover the ESCs that sit underneath the wing inside the nacelles, because it's a twin-engine airplane. But I went ahead and 3D printed some vented versions that'll replace these, and found that off of a YouTube guy named Bonafide Pirate. And I'm going to be, after this is all over, I'm going to be putting a link to his channel, because he's really done a lot of things with this binary, and I've watched a lot of his videos, and it's been very, very informative. So Then they give you this piece here, and you can hand launch this airplane, or you can put landing gear on it. And if you hand launch it, this is a plastic piece that you glue underneath the fuselage, and we'll see how that fits later. Then we have the actual fuselage of this thing. See, I got a lifetime supply of bubble wrap here. Oh, they actually sealed it up. Not open. Huh. Wow. Have to cut it. Okay. So this is the fuselage, and look at that. This is there. I see if I can show you. Let me go to this camera here, and this is the fuselage right here, and it's really really beautiful. It's big, and it's got hatches. It's got hatches everywhere. It's got this hatch up front here, and I think you pull this up. Yeah, there it is. Oops, it's got magnets that hold it in, and this is where the FPV cameras go, and that cutout in there. That let me put this down. This thing here is where the servo goes for the pan. For the pan and tilt gizmo that you put up front here. And then a lot of guys mount their video transmitters out back up here with the antennas sticking straight up, and for cooling purposes, because when you do these long range things, you're usually going to try to run it at a pretty high power wattage, and then this has got the magnets built in right in here if you want to put the clear canopy on it. But once you stick all that camera gear in there, you can't use. I'm going to paint this either white or black. I know a lot of guys just leave them wood, but I think it'd look better if just paint it. Probably black might look better. So I'm going to try to make it look nice as well. So that's the front hatch, and then the battery goes down in here, and here's the battery strap, and it's got a I don't know if you can see it, but it's got lines here to measure, so you adjust the CG of the airplane by moving the battery around, and this is the battery that I'm going to use in it, and this is like a brick. It's a 6,000 milliamp 4-cell, and should give this airplane about 45 minutes of flight time. The thing about this airplane that I've seen from all the reviews is it's a workhorse. It'll carry tons of stuff, and this battery will just set right down in there, and nothing else goes in that compartment up front except the battery. This has got all that room. So this thing is heavy and big, but I think that it's going to be fun for long flights. It's also got a hatch up top here. And in here is where all your flight controller mounts, and it's got the 30 by 30, just like a drone. It's got the 30 by 30 holes, so you can put a mount in there for the flight controller, and all the wires from the wings, servo wires for the ailerons and flaps, and the wires for the lights and everything else come in through here and all hook up in this compartment here. It's also got tons of room underneath that flight controller deck for more electronics and anything else. So as far as a lot of times when you build these things, trying to cram all that stuff in here is usually hard, but this thing is cavernous, and that goes all the way back. Now, if you see that black thing in here, that's a carbon fiber spar, and it runs all the way back to about here, and gives a lot of support. And this thing is incredibly rigid. So that's, and then back here in this cutout is where the servos mount for the tail surfaces for the elevator and the rudder, and then there's a plastic piece that you cut out and you can glue on top a fairing for that. This flat spot up here can be used for anything. Some guys mount the video transmitter, but that's probably the most logical place to put the GPS module up top there. And again, it depends on where you put all the other antennas. You want to keep the GPS away from as much interference as you can. There's also a hatch on the bottom down here. And even though I probably have no intent to do it, they sell a kit to build a plywood mount that goes in here that holds any of the different types of GoPros from the Hero 7 on up, and be a downward facing high definition camera, and you can program these things to do mapping, to fly grid patterns and everything else, and automatically take pictures as it goes. So it does have the place down there for the mapping camera. Up front here, it's got a little cutout right up here. I'll push it out. That is where the nose wheel kit goes in, and there's some plywood pieces embedded in there to bolt the nose gear in, and then the main landing gear goes in this area right here, and I think this comes out, and the main landing gear bolts down here, and then you can put the foam after you get the landing gear, and you can probably sand it down a little bit and put the foam fairing back on, and the one for the nose gear has a cutout in it, so that after you mount that whole nose gear thing in there, that you just push this back in, maybe put just a drop of glue to hold it in place. But these things fit like they're incredible. It's the quality of this thing. And this whole kit was $115 for the airplane itself. So that's the fuselage. Tons of room. I guess you have to poke a hole back in here to run the wire. I guess you got to make a little cutout in there to run the wires. I don't see any hole through there yet, but oh yeah, there is. You go down through the, try to keep it in the camera here, through these things, and underneath these wood plates it does go through to run all those wires. So that's the fuselage, and let me put the covers back on here. Nice strong magnets, one down on the bottom. I want to try to keep from dinging and denting this all up, so when I do build this, I'll probably just put a towel down on the table, because it is easy to screw these things up. And then the mount up front here for the FPV stuff. So that's the fuselage. So let me set that over here, and let's see what else we got in the box. We have, I think I'll put the fuselage back in the bag for the time being. Keep it nice and dent free. All right. This is some plastic parts and pieces. Little light covers for the wingtip lights. You cut them out of the clear. The white, there's lines on it. There's lines on it here where you cut it out for the fairings that cover the servos in the back. So you got that little piece there. We have the wing panels. So we'll open up one of these and take a look at it and put the other one over here. Let's see. Okay. So here's one of the wing panels, and I'm going to sit down over here and take a second and take a look at the chat and see
I don't know what you did, Mitch, but you knocked out your audio.
Turn on my other microphone here. What happened to my wireless mic? How long has that been off? Uh, hang on a second. Let's see what's going on here. I'm using this thing.
Oh, it's back now.
Oh, the plug popped out. That's all. Yeah, what happened? This thing. This is the Comica, and it came with a mic that had jack with a screw-on thing that kept it from popping out. But what happened was that is this working now? Yeah, it's working now. The wire, when I wiggled the wire, it made all kinds of noise, so I couldn't use that microphone anymore. And I tried to fix the plug on it, but there's just no way to. That wire is ridiculous. So I went ahead and bought a cheap mic because they wanted $30 or $40 for that microphone. So for $10, I bought this microphone here, but it just has. It has a regular 4-ring, like a cell phone plug. So then they give you this adapter to jump it down to a 3-ring one. But I found that if I plugged that into the top of the phone, I could probably break it too easy. So I had this little right-angle deal. So I got all these plugs in line here. And what happened was this one just popped out a little bit in my pocket. So
and you should have just went ahead and bought the microphone in the first place.
Probably, yeah. But I don't use it all that much, and the only thing I've really been using it for has been these live stream deals, because I can wire myself up and move around and go to the different tables. In fact, I even wore these ridiculous pants with the big side pockets, like
painter's pants. Yeah.
So I got room for it, but the plug did, for some reason, it popped up a little bit. I don't know what I did. I stuff all the extra wire in there. So how you been, Mel?
Good.
Good. I'm surprised to see you today. I'm glad you came in. I thought you'd be working. Thought you'd be out working today.
Work?
Yeah, Yeah, work.
What is that? I'm hearing an echo. I'm hearing your YouTube feed, I'll bet.
Oh, yeah. Speakers. You know what? I've got because I'm not wearing headphones, I got a little speaker here, so I can hear you. I'll turn the volume down on that.
I just know that's going out live is all.
Yeah, how about that? Is that better now?
I can still hear it.
Yeah?
Your mic is, that mic you have on is not noise canceling at all. It picks up everything.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it's okay. I just thought I'd let you know.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Like I say, this is not professional show business.
No, I've had a few emails with the link in them from you and stuff, and I thought, well, I've got time here. I'll jump in for a few minutes.
Good.
See what he's making today.
Good. Glad you did. Well, we're building that binary. This thing right.
Yeah, I was looking
right
at
over
that.
here. We're building this thing. Here, let me. What I'm going to do is.
I like fixed wing stuff.
I'm going to make you small so that I can have the stuff I'm showing bigger.
Is that twin engine?
Yeah, it's twin motor.
Okay.
And it's designed for FPV. It's built specifically to be an FPV airplane and long range. I just watched a video of a guy actually flew one of these things 40 miles and back. Can you imagine?
In what country?
I don't know where. I mean, I know he was breaking the laws because he went up to about 1,400 feet with the thing.
Some countries that's not illegal, but
yeah, it may be. Anyway, this was a 2 or 3 year old video, so it may have been he got in before they changed the laws. I think that the 400-foot limit is fine. I mean, that applies to model airplanes, but we're all going to break the line. If you go any distance, you're going to break the line of sight thing. The way to just go out and fly out over to woods and open country where there's nobody to bother with it. So we'll see.
You can break line of sight just by getting distracted and lose track of where it's at, for crying out loud.
I never agreed with the requirement for line of sight. If you have eyes in the drone, because eyes in the drone enable you to fly it. But when that
That
drone is
only
nothing but a
that only lets you see straight in front of it.
right, but
The,
the
the
problem,
reason
I mean,
the reason for line of sight has nothing to do with the drone. It has to do with the airspace so that you can see other aircraft that might be approaching
yeah,
your
no,
drone.
I understand that. But if you've
Yeah.
ever tried to fly a drone a half a mile away without the camera inside, you don't know which way the damn thing's going. You can't tell whether it's coming or going sideways. You know.
Right.
Yeah. At any rate, I try to obey the
And
laws.
see, that's the thing with the line of sight rule. You're supposed to be able to recognize orientation and all that. So you're supposed to be able to know which way it's pointed and all that.
Yeah. Good luck with that with some of these
Exactly.
little drones.
Yeah, there's
good-
a lot
good
of
luck.
like this new Mavic Mini. That thing's a joke, but
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, let me get back to
you
the
got to make.
airplane.
I'm seeing a modification already on that thing.
Oh, what's that?
Coat the bottom of it with monocoat. Okay,
Yeah.
and then make wing pontoons
Oh, you want to make a seaplane out of it?
and make it a seaplane.
No, I think I'll pass on it. I'm going to put the landing gear on it. I have a seaplane already if I want to fly over water, but with all the electronics and cameras and crap in here and water splashing everywhere, I think I'll leave that to the seaplane. Anyway, this is a wing panel. It's got a 4-foot wing, and
Wow.
it's got a plywood plate at the root. It's got carbon fiber spars that are molded in that two of them that run the length of the wing. The control surfaces, it's got ailerons out here, and there's a carbon fiber
I was going to
spar in the ailerons.
Are they hinged? Or
They're
are
hinged. They're hinged with this same foam material, which holds up okay. But what most people do is they take that packing tape, the filament tape,
Yep.
and put it down on both sides to reinforce the hinges. And I'll probably do that. Maybe not on the first flight, but I'll probably go ahead and reinforce these things. Not a bad idea. Then it's got flaps too, but the flaps are optional. So you have to actually cut the root side out if you want to use them.
I used to cut those off and put actual hinges in.
Yeah.
And then because it was styrofoam, I'd use toothpicks instead of
Yeah.
screws. Just push toothpicks through with a little bit of epoxy and cut them off flush with the surface. And that actually pinned the hinge instead of screw it in. And it worked real good.
Yeah, I've done that many times on foam wings, even balsa covered foam wings. We used to do that with the toothpicks, and then you just take a block sander and sand the toothpicks flush with the skin, and then epoxy fiberglass over the whole mess, and you got one hell of a wing.
Yep.
But this is $100 airplane kit, but it's really well designed. This is the nacelles come off like this. And there's two wooden plywood plates on the side where you screw in through the
That
side
gets
there.
a screw put in it to hold it on.
And then the motor mount, they give you all the screws and everything. Then the motor mount, you glue that back into here. They give you the plywood to build the motor mounts, and then the motor. And then right in here is a cutout right here for the ESC to go.
Oh, okay.
And all that just goes into the wing. And then the servo, which is cool, the servo mount for the
aileron?
flaps is actually cut right down into here. So you just press that servo down in there, run the control horn right out through this little groove here, right to the flap, and that all gets hidden under the nacelle.
Under the nacelle.
Yeah, it's a really, really nice design and pretty solid too, pretty stiff. And from what I've seen of the way these things fly, it's got the little wingtip washout on it, and it's a stable airplane. It doesn't even, the stall tests I've seen on it, it never drops a wing. It just mushes around flat and finally drops a nose straight.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty impressive.
Pretty stable,
impressive, Impressive little airplane. So that's a wing panel, and
see, because you know what happens when they drop a wing in a stall? They tend to tailspin.
You think? especially if you're yanking full up on the elevator,
Yeah.
like most people, And you didn't see it, Mel. You weren't here, but I opened the box, and the first thing I saw on top of the box was this. They give you this little, and my chroma key is playing fix
Yeah.
with it, but it's orange and yellow. They give you this little foam glider, and I mean, this thing is constructed. It's amazing how well it's constructed. As soon as we're done here, I'm going to take it outside and give it a heave. See, it's going to end up on a roof. I know it, but
Put controls in it and fly it.
yeah, you could. Yeah, I mean, they sell RC airplanes that are a lot smaller than that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the wing panels, and then, boy, everything comes in bubble wrap like this. You gotta cut it open. They seal them. I mean, the airplane kit itself was $114 for that's the airplane, and we'll get to the power kit, which was like $80. So you're about 200 bucks for the airplane and the power kit, and that's really all you need. You don't need landing gear. You can hand launch this thing,
Right.
and you don't need the lighting kit that they sell, because I didn't point that out, but on the wingtips here, see this cutout?
Oh yeah.
They have a lighting kit, and they have underneath there's a little channel here, and I think you just probably cut it, and the wire, the very thin wire, just goes down in there and runs up here to the nacelle and then into the wing that way. And the lighting kit comes with a controller. Here you can see the picture
Right.
of the lights in the wingtips,
Yep.
and the light in the tail, and
And
also the
landing
landing lights by the
Yep.
nacelles. And the controller works on a 3-position switch on the radio. So the first position turns on just the tip lights, and then the second position adds the landing lights to it.
Yeah.
So that's going to be pretty cool. Dan, Drone Pool, how you doing?
Cool.
I think some of these drone guys see how many are interested in airplanes here.
Oh, I like flying fixed wing stuff. That's how I started in the hobby.
Well,
was
didn't we
fixed
all
wing.
did? I mean, I
Yeah.
started flying fixed wing airplanes, Mel, in 1967.
59, 60, 69, 70, I'm going to say about 70 or 71.
You were a kid back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 12 years old.
Wow. So anyway, here's the stab, and these things fit. They fit together amazingly, and once you just put, I got this stuff here is
Special foam glue.
yeah, foam glue, designed for this stuff, foam cure, and this one bottle here was like $7 on Amazon. Will last me the rest of my life. So all the old, I used to have every kind of glue known to man, but it all went bad from sitting,
Yeah.
So anyway, this is the elevator, and then this here is the rudder,
Vertical stabilizer.
tail.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's. I think if I use the actually sharp end of the knife, it might actually cut this stuff. Then this is the tail fin, and you can see up here the cutout for the light kit. And the
Yep.
light kit that I ordered, I got from Banggood. It's the only thing that I don't have yet, and according to the tracking, it just cleared customs in Miami yesterday.
So you'll have it.
I'll have it
tomorrow, probably.
Tomorrow or Monday at the latest.
Yeah.
At any rate, and I don't really need that yet. But this is the rudder and the tail assembly, and this stuff is all keyed, and once this is setting in the airplane, this will slide right down in here. I mean, this stuff fits like a glove. So that's the empennage of the airplane right there. And the neat thing is the servos for the back end, I don't know if you saw the fuselage, but they just mount right here in the
Yeah.
back of the fuselage, right up
Yeah.
next to this. So you've got really short, relatively short control throws, lengths of the control rods. But anyway, that's the tail section right there.
Well, I know I don't need to remind you, but make sure that you get that perfectly true and level with the wings when you glue all that together.
You can't not on this airplane. The way these things slide in together, there's absolutely no play. It fits the way it fits. You cannot screw up.
Because really, you know what happens. You'll know how the airplane will fly if your elevator is a little bit unparalleled to your wing.
When I used to build these things, when it came time to mount the tail surfaces,
Mm-hmm.
I had that thing propped up on like a jack stand.
Yep.
I had
stuff.
I had
used to make a
wires
jig.
cut the exact length from wingtip to wingtip from both sides so I could get it this way.
Yep.
And then I had levels setting
Yep.
on everything front and back to get it. You know, I used to build those jets, Mel. These things went 200, 250 miles an hour. You don't have anything crooked on one of those things.
No.
You just don't.
You don't dare. You don't dare on something like this either.
No, but this thing is very, very, very precise. So let's go back to the box over here. See, I got all these cameras set up here. How do you like that, Mel?
Man, you're spiffy.
Got that one, got this one, and then I don't know if you saw it before. I don't know if you were in here or not, but I actually have the grand combo shot
There you go.
of everything. The cool thing is, I have enough room in my studio here where I can put the green screen back far enough where I put this table right in front of it.
Yeah.
So I still have the green screen, which is nice. And what's really cool about it is, watch this trick. Let me get this stuff off the table here. Watch this. Watch this trick. All right, I'm going behind the green screen now. I can lift up the green screen and put it in front of the table
Yep.
and then slide the table back out of the way and have my regular studio back. See? So you talk about not just having exactly enough room in this place for all of this crap. I managed to and walk around the lights and everything else and fit it all in here. So that worked out great.
Yep.
All right, let's go back.
Well, I wish I could stick around a little longer, but that's going to look like a fun kit to build.
It is, and I'm going to do the whole thing on live streams. It may end up being 20, 30 hours worth of live streams, but I'm going to build it, and it's a lot more fun. You know, I live alone by myself. This to me is like socializing, to have guys stop in and talk while we're doing it, and it may not be the most riveting video. There's going to be some slow spots, but you know, people who watch it afterwards can move around, and I probably put a timeline into where the most critical things happen. But all right, well, thanks for coming in, Mel. I appreciate it.
Well,
Good
thanks
to
for
see you.
sending me that email link.
Oh,
So I thought
you're
I'd
on my
stop
list
in and say
anytime.
hello. So,
Anytime I do anything, you're invited. You know that.
well, I appreciate it.
All
Have
right,
a great
buddy.
afternoon.
Yeah, you too.
Everybody
Take care.
in chat, Rick, Jody, everybody, we'll see you later.
All right, take it easy, buddy. Okay, well, that was nice. Thanks, Mel. Thanks for coming in. It was a unexpected surprise. Anybody else want to come in? There's a link up there in the chat that you're welcome to pop in, and may take me a second to notice you in the green room, but love to have you. Let me go back to here and let's see what else we got in this box here. So I already looked at the plastic piece, the canopy, the covers for the ESCs, the 1 page of instructions, and we have a little package here that has this has the all the screws, extension, servo extension cables. These things here are the motor mounts, the push rods, some double sticky Velcro that you can cut up if you need it, and that's just a little hardware package that comes with it. And then this is a carbon fiber spar for the wing. This thing slides through the fuselage, and the wings will slide onto it. And then there's two screws that hold the wing, into the center. So we got that, the carbon fiber spar. This is the little plastic that we cut the fairings out of, and then they give you these decals, which really look pretty good. And I'm going to use them. A lot of guys say that they want to have their own individual color scheme, but why not? You can always peel them off and paint it or do something later with it, but they give you the decals. So that's the kit, and that's what you get all that for about $115, and it beats me how they can do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and put this stuff back in the box here right now, and we'll go look at some of the other pieces and parts. Where did I cut this? Here we go. Oh, here it is. So for the rudder. This is riveting television, isn't it, guys? Okay, so we have that, and let me put all this stuff back in the box here. And the wings. I guess you got to be, how these things are. Once you unpack them, you got to be Chinese to get this stuff back in the box. If you're not Chinese, you never can figure out how to do it. There we are. Okay, and the instructions, and that is what comes in the box for $114. And this whole thing doesn't weigh a half a pound, maybe a pound. All right, let's see where we are here. Microphone's still working? Yeah. Okay. Rick says, still got a fat tongue. Oh. I was 3 years old in '67. Yeah, Dan. Yeah, hell, my baby son was born in 1970, and in 2 weeks he'll have his 49th birthday. And if you don't think that's scary, all right, let's go over to this table here and take a look and see. Let's explore some of this other stuff. All right, can we see that? Yeah, okay. I showed you guys the battery. This is the battery that's going to go in it, and it is a hunk of a battery. 6,000 milliamp 4-cell 55C LiPo. It weighs more than that whole box with the airplane in it over there. And let's put this stuff aside right now and take a look at, let me turn on some more lights here. And let's take a look at what comes in the power kit here. So this is the kit that you buy with the airplane, and I believe that they sell them separately. So if you really wreck the airplane, you really just crash the shit out of it, you can pull all of this stuff out of the airplane, and for $114 buy a whole new airplane and then put all the stuff back in it. So as far as being cheap, when you look at the cost of these hobby Horizon Hobby foam airplanes, I'll show you guys one. Hold on a second. Let me go get it. This one sells for about $200, and I think this orange may chroma key itself here, but this one is V900, and it's a 100-mile-an-hour little airplane. And this is about $200 for this, and it seems to me that you get one hell of a lot. Of course, this comes with a receiver too, but that's not a very expensive receiver. But this little thing is a lot of fun to fly. I've flown it about a half a dozen times. You hand launch it and just land it on the grass, but it goes about 100 miles an hour, and one of the troubles with it is actually being able to see it in the sky. As you get older, your eyesight, my eyesight isn't as good as it used to be, and it's kind of easy to lose it. And then I just got this thing. My son had it, and he never flew it, and he asked me if I was trying to clean out a bunch of his junk. So this is called an Icon. It's a seaplane, and it's designed to be a seaplane. It's got the fuselage and everything stays dry, and these are a lot of fun. But these things are well over $200 to buy, so they're kind of expensive. I never would have bought this. He bought it because he lives on the water, and then flew it. We flew it once, and he put it away and never flew it again, and that was probably 6 or 7 years ago. So I inherited the Icon from the kid. So now that this new park that I found down there in Palm Bay actually has some really nice size retention ponds, I'll probably have a video or two on the channel of some seaplane flying there with that thing. But I'm not going to forget the drones. The drones are still the prime focus for me and for the channel. Okay, so now let's take a look at, whoa, what happened to my, there it is. Let's take a look at what comes in the power kit here. So we've got more stickers. This tells you how to operate the ESCs and what the beeps all mean and everything like that. So that's good. Comes with two of these 8-inch 3-blade propellers, and I did order. They're like $6 for a spare set. And they're in the package with the lighting kit that's somewhere between Miami and here right now. So I got a spare set of props, but the props sit up, and unlike that little airplane I just showed you, where the prop can break if it's not sitting sideways when it hits the ground. These things are never going to get anywhere near the ground, so I don't expect to break any of them. But I figured it wouldn't hurt to have an extra set. And they're counter-rotating props too. They're each one, just like with drones, the pitch on each of these is different, so that you can have them rotating in together, and you don't get any P-factor, any thrust pulling the airplane left or right. It tracks straight down the center when you add the power. So that's the props. This thing also, where did you order the kit to build the one you're doing? Rick, I got the kit and the power kit from Amazon. the landing gear kit and the lighting kit, the Amazon, they didn't have it. I'm going to put after this video's over, after it's all done, I'm going to go in and get links to where I got all the different parts. Some of them I have affiliate links to, some of them I don't. Doesn't matter. I'll put all the links in there to all the places where I got all this stuff. If anybody decides they want to do this, I think it looks like it might be an advanced airplane, but I think it's really be a great beginner's airplane. Who else we got here? Jake Blackburn. Hey, how you doing? He says, Matt, I flew a wing once into a fence. Oh, well, that's no good. That's no good. You're welcome, Rick. Rick, it looks like it's just, I don't know, it looks like everybody's gone away. I'm boring the hell out of them, I guess. Anyway, let's continue on here and look and see what we got. Okay, and here is a package with 6 of these little tiny servos, and these are Metal Gear servos, which is good. So these are the 6 servos, and that would be 1 for each aileron, 1 for the elevator, 1 for the rudder, and 2 for the flaps. So you got 6 servos to cover all of that stuff. Then they give you packages with all kinds of servo extension cords, and these orange clips here are to keep you snap them over the connectors to keep them together. So you get that package in here. You get 2 of these motors. And these are Sunny Sky, which is a good brand of motor, and they are 2212 1100 kV motors. So they're about twice as tall as most of the drone motors go, and of course they turn at a much slower RPM than you would with a drone motor. But you get 2 of them, comes in this kit, and then you get 2 of the ESCs. Which are 40 amp ESCs, branded Sonicmodell, and the motors are color coded. But this uses INAV, which is like Betaflight, and you can use software to change motor directions and do all that stuff. So this is what you get for about $80. You get the 2 ESCs, you get the 2 motors, and when you think about it, if you try to buy all this stuff separately, it adds up to a lot more than $80. You get all of these different XT60 splitter cables. That's to go out to the 2 ESCs, split the power from the battery. You get 6 little servos and a pair of props, and that comes in at I think it's $86, something like that. Anyway, when you add the 2 together, the airplane and all of this stuff, which gives you everything you need to actually build an airplane that'll fly, except the receiver, of course. You don't have to build this thing as an FPV airplane. You can just build it as a regular RC airplane, throw a receiver in it, hook up the servos, and away you go. But that's not complicated enough for me, I guess. So that's that part of the kit. Then this was, I think, $18. This is the landing gear kit here, and it's got a nice metal cross brace. It comes with another servo for the steerable nose wheel, and all kinds of Y harnesses for that. You get this plywood little kit where you glue all this stuff together to mount the steerable nose gear on it, and you get the nose gear struts. You get 3, count them, 3 wheels, and then you get a package of axles and collars and all kinds of screws and hardware for the linkages for the steerable nose wheel. You get every little piece and part that you need, and more stickers, and a set of instructions. And the instructions gives you the instructions for the landing gear on one side, and on the other side for the you won't be able to see that, but for the camera bay, if you happen to buy the camera bay kit. So I'm sure you get the same set of instructions with that. So that's the landing gear kit. A lot of pieces and parts, a lot of things to put together. That's the landing gear kit. And then I have this Frsky receiver. It's an R9 receiver, long range receiver, and they give you a pair of these T antennas, and this is the kind of antenna that I use on my drones. But since this receiver has diversity, they actually give you two. They give you two different antennas. Plus, you get these antennas that come on the receiver too, and these are flat. And I think these are designed to be stuck into maybe to the inside or the underside of something on the airplane. So, but it is a dual diversity receiver. This is a 16-channel receiver. It's got 8 places to plug servos, and it's got S-bus output where you can take you don't even need to use these servo outputs, but you can take the S-bus output and send it right into your flight controller. And what I plan to do is I plan to use the receiver to directly control the servos that the flight controller really doesn't need to deal with, like camera tilt and camera pan and flaps. And I'll probably just plug them right into here, and then I'll use channels from the S-bus, different channels in the flight controller. And it's going to be fairly complicated to set it up, and that's going to be, I think that's going to be an interesting part of getting this thing to work. The first thing I plan to do is basically build the airplane, get all the equipment in it, throw everything into manual mode, not worry about automated flight modes or any of that, or even FPV for that matter. Get the thing out to the field and make sure and put some flights on it to make sure the airplane is right, it's balanced right, it's trimmed up right, it flies straight, and then we'll worry about making it more complicated one step at a time. Then we'll bring in the flight controller to it with the OSD and the FPV through the goggles with all the artificial horizons and all the information about and the different flight modes where it follows headings, holds altitude, does all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a project that's going to kind of happen in steps, and I'm going to be learning the whole way along, and hopefully something we do here might be interesting or help somebody else that wants to do it from having to discover everything like I'm trying to discover everything here. So anyway, that's the receiver, and that was about a $50 deal, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But that's a good receiver, and that'll work with my new Jumper T16 radio just beautifully. So that radio is a 16-channel radio, so I'll be able to use every one of those channels if I want to. So that's the radio part of it. And let's see what we got going on in the chat here. Is it 2.4? No, Jody, it's an R9 module. It plugs in the back of the jumper, and it's 900 megahertz. And it's designed for the long range stuff. Here, wait, I'll get the transmitter and show you. And this is what I'm using in most of my newer drones that I've built, especially the drones with the DJI stuff in it. All of those are using the R9, and the range of the R9, they say, is, the way they say it is at least 10 kilometers. And you can adjust the output power on the R9 module in the settings in OpenTX in the radio. You can set it to there's the R9 module right there, and they only cost 30 something bucks, and the receivers for the drones are only about 20 bucks. But that uses this antenna here, and even though the jumper, the T16 has an internal multi-protocol module for all the 2.4 gigahertz stuff. And that'll bind with Frsky, FlySky, Spectrum, virtually any receiver out there. The 900 megahertz stuff requires, just like Crossfire would require, a separate module in this radio. And that's what I'm using. And that T antenna that I just showed you on the drone, for example, is, you see it right back here. And this one uses that 900 megahertz, and you really don't have to ever worry about flying it out of range. You can set that up to a full 1 watt output if you want, although you don't need that unless you're trying to fly 30, 40 miles away. I usually run mine at 100 milliwatts. It gives you settings like, I think 25 milliwatts, 100 milliwatts, and maybe I haven't really used anything but 100, but and there's another increment, and then the top is 1 watt, and it's got a setting that's automatic. And what it does is it monitors the RSSI, the signal strength that the receiver is reporting, and it automatically ups the transmitter power when the RSSI starts to get a little low. And then as the RSSI gets stronger, it lowers the power back again. So it basically gives you just the right amount of transmitter power for however far away you are. But it's a tremendous foolproof system for drones, and you really, it's the one thing you don't worry about anymore is, am I flying the thing too far away? Am I going to fail safe? Because you just don't fail safe with those things. I've never ever had an RSSI, no matter how far I took my FPV, and I don't fly them that far away, but it's always in the 90s. So they work pretty good. And so this airplane's going to use that same system. Let me see what else I missed in the chat. Bye, Mel. I think still have fat tongue. Yeah, Rick. Poor Rick. Get over it, Rick. I'm glad you're okay. I saw Lloyd had a little live stream today and reported that his wife is got good news about his wife, which is very nice to hear. They're like 99.9% convinced that that spot on her lungs was not cancer, but the result of some kind of pneumonia or something, and that she's going to get better from that. So I'm sure he's overjoyed. Waiting for medical results is a very, very stressful thing, and they could tell you like overnight, "Oh, Chris Hope, there he is. You've been waiting long?"
About an hour.
Nah. I just noticed you up there. You must have just come in, huh?
I did. I just got home from work, man.
Work.
Got the email. You've been on about an hour or so.
Yeah, I've been on about an hour and 15 minutes so far. God, I'll tell you, time flies on these things.
Yeah, it does.
And I got a surprise. I got this little, came in the box with the big airplane. This little foam glider.
I like him little dudes.
Yeah, I mean, and the quality of this thing is incredible. I opened up the box. I said, "Oh shit, they sent me the wrong airplane." But
That's
they
cool.
just had the thing, the wings slid in and the stab slid in, and there it was. This little extra gift. I was surprised to see it, but
You can't beat it.
we went over the whole airplane so far. Went over the power kit, and I talked about the landing gear and the receiver. And how you been?
Oh, I've been good, man. We had our first freeze this morning. It got 26 this morning.
Well, we had our first cool weather here this morning. It wasn't today. It wasn't 90. It's like 80 out there today. We had a cold front. Almost got here. It got here and kind of slowed down. But 2 days from now, we got the big cold front coming through, and that ought to give us a little better temperatures. But
yeah, there's plenty of frost on the pumpkin.
well, that's the cold front that's coming our way, and it's moving pretty fast too. But it's not going to freeze us out or anything like that. It does get fairly cool here in Florida in the wintertime.
It just hurt the guy with cows because they was going to get one more cut in the hay, and now it usually don't frost till the end of November, around Thanksgiving sometime. So it's about a month early.
We've had an abnormally, unusually hot October, whereas the rest of the country has been cooling off. None of it's gotten to us. Today was the first day that felt like it wasn't the middle of summer. We've been having 90, 91, 92 degrees every day and humid. Right. But it's cooling off. And everybody bitches. If it's hot, they're going to bitch. And then when it's cold, they're bitching that it's cold, and then they change the time to daylight, Eastern Standard Time, and everybody bitches about how it gets dark early, and
It's
it's tough to keep people happy. Yeah,
I'd-
I decided to do this afternoon because I have nothing else to do. It's windy out there because of the weather, and not a great flying day, and I've been itching to get into the box of this thing, get started, because it's going to be quite a little project. And I didn't know if anybody'd be interested in following along with me, but what the hell? I mean, I'll do it. If people watch, they watch. If they don't,
Sure.
I'm going to do it anyway. And to be quite honest, I live by myself. I have no significant other. I have nothing in common with any of the people that live around me, any of my neighbors. Other than my children, I'm basically a loner. They think I'm a hermit. So the opportunity to gather the boys on YouTube and have people come in and talk to me and actually do the work, which I'm going to do anyway, might be interesting to somebody. And I figure, people have the option of watching or not, or picking the best parts of it out of a replay, because some of these build things, when you start getting into it, can really drag out, especially when you're doing repetitious things.
Exactly.
Wiring up this and that. But we're going to do it anyway. I got the studio here, and it's a combination studio and workshop, so I'm going to build it in here anyway. So I may as well get some use out of this equipment.
Turn it on, use your internet.
What's that?
You might as well turn it on and use your internet.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you over here on the side, and I'm going to go back over here and continue to go through yet more pieces and parts that are going to go into this thing. So let's go over to this here. And this last bag of stuff is, I showed some of this last night on the live stream, but I'll go over what some of this is, because this is some of the pieces and parts that are actually going to go into the airplane. This thing here, let me zoom in a little bit on this. Not the fastest zoom in the world, but this, and I'll try to keep it. Let me know. Give me a yell, Chris, if I get out of the picture. This is the
Looks good.
3D print. I 3D printed this. This guy, bona fide pirate, whose videos I follow, who gave me the idea to build this airplane. I really liked what he did. He actually uploaded the files on Thingiverse to 3D print this little mount. It's got a little bit of play on these screws that go through here, and the wind may bobble it around. And I think I have some very, very tiny little ball bearings left over from some RC helicopters that have the M2 size hole in the center, and I may beef up the bottom, redesign this bottom part of this mount and actually put those bearings in here where there'll be no play at all on the top and the bottom. But what this does is it mounts on the top of a servo, which goes down into the flat part under the canopy, because you don't use the canopy. And that servo, when it moves, will turn the camera like this, and that'll pan it. And then there's another servo which is built right into here, see it? And with this linkage here between the servo and this bottom piece, when the servo moves, the camera will tilt up and down. So that gives you the up and down tilt of the camera.
It's not fixed.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to use not this camera. This airplane is going to have two cameras on it, because the flight controller that I'm using has switching for two different cameras, and you can just flick a switch on your transmitter, and I might have one camera pointing backwards, and another camera, this camera. But I had a Tarsier, one of those with the two cameras built into it. But it was a bad one, and I RMA'd it, and I'm waiting for the replacement to come back. But that's got a two controller boards that have the 20 millimeter mounts like the drone controllers. So what I did was I designed this little 3D printed mount for the back here, and it's got the little posts. So the controller board for that camera will actually just mount right on the back of this thing, because it has a ribbon cable that goes to the camera, and you can't flex that. So that whole camera and boards will move around together as one unit up on top of this thing. So that's going to be the FPV camera for this thing. And this is the video transmitter I'm going to use, the 800 milliwatt video transmitter, and I printed up a little mount for that, and that'll just stick inside or stick somewhere with some foam tape, preferably in the breeze, because these things get hot, and the antenna will stick up somewhere, and that's going to give me my goggles feed.
This is analog. This is analog, right?
What'd you say?
Will this be analog?
Yeah, this is going to be analog, and the reason it's going to be analog is there's so much information in the on-screen display that you need to see when you're flying these airplanes that DJI doesn't have right now.
Gotcha.
Now, DJI is working on. That's one of the things they pretty well said is coming in a future firmware update, and it's coming. And when the DJI system can indeed show all of the OSD information, it would be a good time to swap it and put it in, but you wouldn't get the range. The DJI goes up to 700 milliwatts. You may not get the range. You may or may not. It'd be hard to say, but it would be nice. But this is going to have a 4K. That Tarsier has two cameras built in. One of them is the FPV camera, and the one on top is a 4K camera that records to an SD card. So I will have the high def stuff. It's not going to be stabilized. You can still even throw a GoPro on here if you want.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Rodney Bell, how you doing? Good to see you. We got Bob Casey too. Hey, Bob, what the whole gang showed up. Man, look at this. Thank you. Thanks for showing some interest in this, in me and my toys. Appreciate that. Did I miss anybody? I almost missed you, Chris. You know, it's hard to do this and keep an eye on the chat at the same time. Any of you guys that,
I was messing with you about an hour. It was only about 45 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Well, you weren't there when Mel was here, and you weren't there then. So
how was Mel doing?
He's doing fine. I was surprised he was home, but it was good to see him. Nice that he came by. Another thing that and everything I print is red, because that's the only, I'm kind of new to 3D printing, and I haven't bought a lot of filament. So it's the stuff I print right now is red. So it's going to have to do.
Looks good.
This is a cover for the ESCs in the bottom of the wing.
Oh.
Now what they do is they give you just a piece of plastic shaped like this, but the ESCs can get hot,
That lets air come in, doesn't it?
So this guy, bona fide pirate again, designed these things up and uploaded. These people share this stuff, and it's wonderful. I'm going to put a link to his channel, because he's got a lot of tremendous stuff about this model. He's been doing this FPV fixed wing stuff for a lot of years, and he's the guy that where I discovered this airplane on his channel and said, I want one of those, but I downloaded the STL file from Thingiverse and printed. There's two of them, two different files, because there's a left one and a right one. But these will just glue on top, or it may be I don't know how he mounted his. You can just use some foam tape or something, stick them on there. We're not dealing with supersonic speeds on this airplane. You just want it to stick, but you want to be able to get it off. Because if you have to service the ESC or do something in there, you got to be able to get to it without tearing up the airplane. So I got to come up with some way to mount these that is removable in some manner. So we'll see how that works. Next thing we got here is, this is just an XT60 lead. This is the GPS module that I got for it. And this is a BN880 GPS module. And it's a little more substantial than the module that, the little module that I've been using on these drones. It's nice to give you an extra connector. And it of course does American, GLONASS, and 6 or 7 other, I mean, it gives you, you end up a lot of times with 15 to 20 satellites picked up by this. And it also has a compass in it too. So
that'll
you
display
have,
it back on your goggles, right?
pardon me?
That'll give you the idea where you're going with your goggles.
Yeah, well, you have the GPS gives you heading too, but this, there's two schools of thought. A lot of guys on a drone, you absolutely need to have a compass because the thing can be hovering, and the GPS can't tell which way it's pointing. But an airplane's always moving forward, so the GPS always tells you where you're going. But if you have a compass and you have it where it's not being interfered with by anything, the flight controller can actually compare the heading from the compass with the GPS and internally compute the winds for you with the differences, you know.
Cool.
I don't think you really need it on an airplane. I may turn it on, but you just go into INAV and you can just turn it off if you don't want, you know, if you don't really need it. And most of the guys that fly these long-range FPV airplanes, come to find out, don't use it. But I did want the 880 GPS unit, which is a more sensitive GPS. It only costs $20 anyway, and the other one costs like $16. So for I got the Cadillac of the GPS units, and it happens to have the compass module in it too. So you also have a barometer. So that's the GPS module, and then the final piece of all the pieces that I've got for this thing so far is this. This is, and I showed this last night on the live stream too. This is the flight controller. It's made by Matek, and it's the latest thing they came out with, and it's the F765 wing, and it runs INAV, which is similar to Betaflight. In other words, they started with, from what I understand, they started with clean flight, and some people, it's all open source software, so they forked off Betaflight from it, and they also forked INAV. So the interface and the way you set it up, and there's a lot of similarities. I've kind of got a head start because I know Betaflight pretty well. But this thing brings in all the navigation stuff like DJI has that Betaflight doesn't have. The ability, if you have this in a drone, you can return to home and auto land with this version of INAV. You can fly waypoints. You can on an airplane, when you return to home, it comes back to you and then just what they call loiters. You tell it what altitude and it just flies circles around you until you tell it what to do. Gotcha. You can even auto land the airplane if you want to set it up right, where it'll actually line itself up with the runway and land itself, but I'd rather land it myself. The flight controller, and you see all these different pins, it has all these things which the drone flight controllers don't have. And they give you can either hard solder
Mitch,
it, or they give you all these pins.
Mitch, you might want to switch your camera back.
Oh, thank you. That was silly. I'm looking at it on a different, I could see what I was doing. Here we are.
There you go.
So there's the flight controller. Sorry guys, I'm watching it on the wrong feed. But this is the flight controller. They give you all these pins here to, and you just cut these things up, and they give you red, white, and black. Red will always be voltage, black will always be ground and white will always be signal, and you populate this thing where you need to plug the servos into this. So you don't have to really solder anything on these controllers. If you don't want, you can plug everything. You do have to solder the motor stuff, and they give you, this has a multi-layer thing. It's got these tiny little screws, like jeweler's size screws. You need almost a jeweler screwdriver to take it apart. But one thing that this wing controller has that a lot of these other flight controllers don't have is it has has all the different BECs, the battery eliminator circuitry. It's got this underneath the lid here. This one provides 5 volts up to 10 amps for the servos. So you don't need to have a lot of these different controllers. And if you have an airplane with a lot of servos, you have to figure out put a separate BEC in there to provide power for the servos. This thing would probably handle an airplane 3 times the size of the one I'm building. So it's got that. And then down here on the controller board, you've got where your battery, this is designed for 2, unlike a drone which has 4 ESCs. This is designed for an airplane, but they do give you 2 places to hook the ESCs to and 2 motor control circuits, and then the main battery will go in here. And then this thing will provide the different voltages necessary for the cameras, for the video transmitters, for the GPS, for everything else that's necessary, all on this one board. And then the bottom plate is just a protective plate on the bottom, and you can you just stick that down inside the airplane with some foam tape, and away you go. So this little bugger was about $60-something, and you know, it amazes me that for that kind of money they can build something like this. And that's going to be interesting to learn all about. Something else new to learn, this INAV stuff, and make this airplane have a very capable autopilot in it. Because you have all these different flight modes. You have a mode where it just stabilizes it. In other words, whenever you let go of the sticks, the airplane just flies straight and level. Unlike a drone, the airplane's always flying forward, and your throttle controls the speed of the airplane, so you don't have to push the stick forward like you do in an airplane that's in a like a Matek. You want it to go forward, you got to push the stick. In an airplane, it's flying. So basically, if you're in stabilized mode, you want to turn, you turn. But when you let go of the sticks, it'll always right itself and fly straight and level. Then you've got altitude hold and heading hold, because this thing's got the barometer built into it too. Right. So you can put it in heading mode or altitude hold, and it'll just fly. You just go for a trip and play with the camera tilt and look around and see the difference, you know, watch the countryside go by. Or you can program a waypoint mission into it, just like you do with the drones. And the INAV software has a waypoint planner built in with the maps, and you create your waypoints and you upload it to the flight controller, and the thing just takes off. And you control all of these different modes with switches on your radio. And then I'll have another switch which will actually be able to control the 2 different cameras, and maybe get a rear view and a front view, or a down view and a front view. I may put one camera pointing straight down. We'll see. Anyway, that's the fun. That's going to be the fun of this. So that's the last. Oh, and one other last little piece here that I got is a pitot tube. That's designed to go with that flight controller, and it mounts on the airplane and actually measures your real airspeed.
That's neat.
And displays it in your goggles, so you'll see not only your ground speed, but you'll also see your airspeed. This way, you can tell very easily whether you're flying into the wind or with the wind or whatever. And if you have the GPS module, the compass, the pitot tube, and all the sensors, then I believe the flight controller can actually compute the winds and tell you what direction and what speed the winds are.
Gotcha.
Based on, how the airplane is reacting to the winds up in the air. So that it's going to be quite a little project, and I want to do it in steps. I want to build the airplane first, mount most of this stuff in it, but not configure it to where everything is set up and all the automatic stuff is set up, and just get it to fly first, and fly it and make sure it flies well and make sure it's trimmed up right, and then start adding in the different features as I learn how to set those things up in INAV. Shouldn't be a problem because INAV is really fairly similar to Betaflight. It just takes up on the navigation side, where Betaflight right now basically has just a rudimentary GPS rescue,
Right.
where it'll turn the drone around and start flying back toward you, but it doesn't loiter. It'll start descending, and if you don't take the drone back over, it'll just fly itself into the ground somewhere near where it took off.
Right.
And it's basically just designed as a rescue mode. If for some reason you're flying around with this FPV thing and all of a sudden you lose your feed, your video feed, and you can't see, you click the switch into GPS rescue, and wherever the drone is, it's going to turn around and start flying back. And if you had just flown out of range, as the drone gets closer to you, the video feed will come back. Then you can turn off the GPS station and fly. If there was a fault with the video feed, then basically the drone's coming back towards you. You take the goggles off, you look up in the sky, and you take over and you fly the thing, you land it, you fly it line of sight.
Right.
If the receiver fail safes, just like with a Matek, if it loses its radio signal, it automatically goes into GPS rescue mode. If for some reason you never get the radio signal back, then the drone is going to crash into the ground, but at least it's not going to land 5 miles somewhere where you'll never find it again.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of a crude return to home, but it
works.
It's a fail-safe. It's nice to know that the thing's going to be coming your way, as long as it doesn't fly into your head. You got to be.
You don't have to go. Hopefully, you don't have to go chase it down and look for it.
Yeah, I hope. Well, I'm going to put a lost finder in this thing too. One of those loud beepers. I'm going to throw one of them in here. Hopefully,
What's the wingspan on the airplane, Nick?
What's that?
How big a wingspan?
4 feet.
Oh yeah, nice.
4 feet. Yeah, I already had all that out of the box and showed it off. And if you're interested, just look at the video after it gets up.
Yeah,
and
I will. Not
you can fast forward through all the dull parts. But,
that's just interesting. I've been wanting to get one of them. It's a VTOL aircraft.
Oh, that's a whole nother deal. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. I'm not quite ready for that yet.
Probably a whole nother headache, but I'm thinking about it.
No, they're really pretty cool.
Yeah.
But the good news is I got this glider for free. Came in the box with the airplane. That's the first thing I saw when I opened it up. I said, "Holy shit! What'd they send me? I didn't order that. I ordered this big, complicated airplane, not this little." What's fun is the chroma key. This is orange and yellow, and it's picking up on the yellow and showing it as transparent.
That's what I was wondering.
It's
actually,
cool, isn't it?
It is yellow.
Yeah, it's orange and yellow.
Cool.
So what you're seeing is the orange, but where the yellow is close enough to green, where the chroma key is just showing through it. I can put it at a certain angle where you can see.
There you go.
Yeah, where you can see that you don't see through it. It's like my coffee. It's like my coffee cup here. I have this green coffee cup, and when I hold it up, you see right through it. See?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I was able to redecorate my studio and put this table back here in front of the green screen. So, see, I got my radio sitting on the table there.
That's Hollywood, man.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good. So, I wanted to set it up so I could actually build this airplane in here, and anybody that's interested. I don't expect that I'm going to have 50 people or 100 people. I've got 7 people now. I'm surprised. It's and flattered that you guys find this interesting.
Yeah.
I'm doing it because I just love to try try different things and new things, and didn't know if anybody'd be interested, but I figured, you know, what the hell, I'm going to build it anyway.
I've always been a fan of flight. I love it.
Well, maybe some of you guys don't get the bug. I know that Rick Halber said he's really interested in this, and that'd be great. You know, I'm a member of a RC club here, and gotten back into flying little airplanes again, and I've got a couple of big model airplanes that are in the closet over here. Electrics that take huge batteries that I don't have right now, and I don't want to spend the money on them. Some of these big 5,000-6,000 milliamp 6 cells, but I've drug them around with me everywhere I went, and I even have in my office. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I have a turbine powered jet still sitting up
Nice.
on top of my furniture up there. That's still, I would imagine, if I were to put all new fuel lines and air lines and everything else in it, they probably dried up. That thing would probably still fly, but I have no desire to. It's very, very complicated. I don't even have a car. You need a big SUV or a trailer to haul those things around.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it's a pain to take the wings off them every time if you want to do it that way. So I don't want to get involved with that. But I keep it up there, you know, as a memory of past things.
Days of
Helicopters.
old.
Got some huge RC helicopters, and this same technology, these same flight controllers with INAV will work in these big ass helicopters that'll lift 20-pound payloads.
Oh,
And I have this. Was very expensive when I bought it. Way back when it's the helicopter. I have it. One of the first videos I put up on my channel was called "The Way We Used to Do It," and it was way back before drones, before there was such a thing. Anybody had ever built these multi-rotors? We were trying to mount big gyro stabilized camera rigs under these big RC helicopters and do aerial photography. And I bought all this equipment to do it. I was going to try to make a business out of it back then. And of course the FAA came in and said, and you talk about something being dangerous, you know, I mean, these things will cut your head off. This big helicopter used to run 12S. It ran two 6S 5,000 milliamp batteries in series, and it would lift 20 pounds. And I still have it sitting in the closet right next to me here, and it's a gorgeous machine. And if this airplane works, I think I'm going to get the urge to put a flight controller in it, where the thing will do what a drone does. It'll auto land, it'll hover, it'll fly course, altitude hold, you know, basically.
Yeah.
But a huge helicopter.
it'd be fun to see.
It would be, yeah. So I, you know, thinking about some future projects and stuff. Fortunately, I have the time to do that. And yeah, let me make you bigger. There.
Oh my Lord.
There you
That's
are.
scary.
Everybody see you.
Let me back up.
So who we got in here right now? We got you, Bob Casey, Rodney, Rick Halber's probably still around, and Drone Shots maybe. Got six people. Hey, my hater didn't show up today. I didn't get my my thumbs down yet.
Well,
Better get
people
out.
gotta hate, man. It don't matter.
Yeah. So that's it. That's the unboxing.
Good deal, man.
Of this thing, and you know, over the next couple of days, I'm just going to, these things, whenever I feel like doing it, I'm just going to pop up, have a little live stream. It's kind of like some of these guys, you know, like Dan, Drone Worship. You never know when he's going to come on, or Sean Crowley. He's popping up all the time, you know, with a live. So I'll be popping up, and if anybody, I'll send out the emails, and people are interested, fine. If they
That'd be
miss a
good,
step
man.
in this thing and they're interested, they watch the replay, and we'll get the airplane built. We'll drag it out to the field. I'll set up the GoPro and on my head, you know, and take shots of the first flights and what I'm going through through the whole project. Stuff that if you've been in RC is something that you think you know is just basic stuff that you know, and if you've never built an RC airplane, it'll all be new and interesting. So whatever level. Mike Kelly came in. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Mike.
And I think with that, I'm going to wrap it up, Chris.
That sounds good. I'm fixing to go to town and eat supper with the kids and grandkids and the wife.
And I got to clean up all this crap that's now spread all over my office. Did you see the battery? Were you around when I showed the battery?
Oh, I didn't see it.
Look at it.
That's a brick.
6,000 milliamp, 4-cell,
What, 10-minute flight time?
45.
That's
On
even better.
this airplane will fly about 45 minutes on this battery. And
Wow.
that airplane, from what I've read about it, will actually handle, you could actually put 2 of these in that airplane and it'll still fly. That thing is a workhorse, supposedly, although I don't want to make it too god-awful heavy, but this thing is a brick. This thing is heavy.
Oh, I bet it is. I guess it's
And
a lipo.
these things are like $50. I thought they'd be more than that, but $50.
A lipo?
Yeah, it's a lipo, 6,000 milliamp.
Good gosh.
I've only bought one of them, and if it works, I'll probably end up having to buy a couple more. But you know, you go out to fly, you fly one 45-minute flight, you almost say that's enough for the day. You know, especially with me, because I'll take this, I'll have some drones with me. You know, and you go out, you don't want to fly the airplane, you want to fly this airplane, another airplane, a drone or two.
Yes, sir.
So one battery may be enough. We'll
Cool,
see.
man.
Yeah,
I'll
because
be
you know,
looking
when you buy
for
these,
it.
you
I'm
buy
around, I'll
these,
slip in.
yeah, you buy these batteries. You got to take care of them. Got to keep, you know, got to charge them, make sure they're in storage mode when you're not using them. So it's just more stuff to maintain. Well, that's about it.
All right, man.
Chris, hey, listen. It's great.
Thank you, buddy.
Oh, absolutely, man. I love it when you guys come in and help lend some credence to this stuff that I'm doing here.
It's always good to have somebody in the background to tell you to turn the camera around or whatever.
Oh yeah, and watch the chat too.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep track of all this stuff. Like I said, I got all these different cameras. Did you see the split shot that I came up with here? I came up with this shot that basically shows all the cameras at the same time.
That's pretty cool, man.
Here, I'll show you. There it is.
Awesome.
And of course, there's no on this shot of me. There's no chroma key on that one, so you can see that. You don't see any background, just me.
Yeah.
And that one is a monitor over there where I've got the picture of the airplane, which is what we're going to build, right there. And
Oh,
it's
nice.
got the lights on it, and the camera up front there on the front end of it with the tilt and swivel, and the antennas sticking out all over it, and the fancy decals on it, and it's gonna be a pretty nice little deal. And you know, it'll fit in my car too, which is nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll let you go, bud.
All right, buddy. Thanks again. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it, and we'll see you the next time.
Everybody in chat, y'all have a good evening. Have a good weekend, guys.
Okay.
We'll
Take
see you,
care.
man.
All right. Take care, buddy. All right. So let me say, Bob Casey and Chris and Mike Kelly, you got it here towards the end of it, but there'll be plenty more of these things. All we did today was just unbox all this stuff and go over the pieces and parts. Jody was here 45 minutes before I started, so thanks, man. I appreciate the time, and one of these days you got to come into the chat with us and get on the panel. Who else? Rodney, if you're still here, thanks for coming in, and Rick Halber. Thank you. Appreciate your interest in my little adventure. It flatters me that you guys are interested in anything I might be doing. So thanks again for coming in. And with that, I'm going to crank up my little music like I usually do. Here we go. Okay. And turn it back over to Spank to say goodbye. So take the rest of the day off, guys. Go play with your drones or your airplanes. And I will see you the next time.